الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد. Imam al-Shaukani rahimahullah ta'ala says in the Kitab al-Tahara chapter of Tahara, purification or purity, al-Fasl al-Thani Mustahabat al-Wudu. The second subchapter is the recommended acts of wudu. In the previous lesson we were explaining the kalam of Shaukani in brief and in summary the obligatory, mandatory acts of wudu, the things that you must do in order for your wudu to be valid. And this is something that is crucial, is pivotal for every Muslim to understand, every single Muslim. You must know the basics, the necessities, and then you should also learn the things which are mukammilat, things which will perfect and polish your ibadah. But at least learn the bare necessities. There may be times in which there's lack of time, lack of water, maybe extremely cold, whatever the case may be. It may be a shortage of something, and those are the times in which you can really taste the sweetness of the fruits of learning those things. So therefore, in al-wudu, there are bare necessities, and there are things which are good and recommended. There are things which are disliked, and there are things which will render your wudu to be null and void. So it's very important for every single Muslim to learn and to master these basics. The author says, يُسْتَحَبُّ التَّثْلِيثُ فِي غَيْرِ الرَّأْسِ وَإِطَالَةُ الْغُرَّةِ وَالتَّحْجِيلِ وَتَقْدِيمُ السِّوَاكِ اسْتِحْبَابًا وغسل اليدين إلى الرسغين ثلاثا قبل الشروع في غسل الأعضاء المتقدمة. الفصل الثالث نواقض الوضوء. ينتقض الوضوء بما خرج من الفرجين من عين أو ريح وبما يوجب الغسل ونوم المضطجع وأكل لحم الإبل والقي ونحوه ومس الذكر. The author says it is recommended to wash 3 times besides the head. In other words, it isn't obligatory, it isn't mandatory, but it's something which is preferable to wash your arms thrice, wash your face thrice, wash your feet thrice. Everything should be done 3 times, and you do not have to, but it should be, except for the head. The opinion of the author is that the head should only be wiped once. That's it. Regardless whether it's from the hairline to the nape of the neck, nape of the neck back to the hairline, or whether it's just once like this, 1 finger, 1/2, as we've explained before. Al-Muhim is that the head should only be wiped 1 time and not 3 times. He then says, وَإِطَالَةُ الْغُرَّةِ وَالتَّحْجِيلِ, and a person should extend his wudu. He should go beyond the obligatory place. As we've explained in the tutorial and in the video, is that you just don't wash to your elbows, wash to the beginning of your bicep, or in some narrations to the middle of the bicep. When you wash your feet, don't just wipe to the ankles, up to the ankles, wash to the shin, to the calf, the shank. Okay? And this is isbagh, is to totally smother your wudu in perfection. Alright? But it isn't mandatory. So therefore, if someone says that you must make wudu 3 times, then that's wrong. That's wrong. The author, he says here, وَإِطَالَةُ الْغُرَّةِ وَالتَّحْجِيلِ. We have narrations that state on the Day of Judgment, the nation of Muhammad ﷺ will be known and will be called and recognized and distinguished by the places of wudu, by the brightness and the blaze of the horse, tahjil and ghurra. Alright, the whiteness that may be in the 4 legs of the horse, or the blaze of the horse, the forehead of the horse. The author, he says, وَغَسْلُ الْيَدَيْنِ إِلَى الرَّسْغَيْنِ ثَلَاثًا قَبْلَ الشُّرُوعِ فِي غَسْلِ الْأَعْضَاءِ الْمُتَقَدِّمَةِ. And he says it is recommended to wash one's hands 3 times before he starts washing the parts that we previously explained. In other words, when you begin your wudu, it is not mandatory to wash your 2 hands 3 times. La. According to the author here, that's recommended. So if a person began his wudu with his mouth and his nose and his face, according to the author, his wudu will be what? It will be valid. And he only left off something which was recommended. So therefore, when Allah Azza wa Jalla tells us to wash our hands and our arms, what's meant is to the fingertips, to the elbow. That's after the face. washing your hands 3 times before the wudu, according to the author, is not mandatory. And we've also done a video on this, a tutorial on the proper way of making the wudu. Very simple chapter. The next one, the author, he says, things which nullify one's wudu. Now, in order for you to have a complete act of worship, you must know the things that you have to do. You should know the things that is recommended for you to know, the extras. But you must know the things which will nullify and spoil that blessed act of worship. And this starts off with a tawheed and al-iman. It's insufficient just to learn iman and just to learn tawheed. You must learn about shirk. You must learn about bid'ah. You must learn about sins, things of jahiliyyah, things which will either ruin your tawheed, billah, or will lessen it and weaken it and put a blemish and a stain on it. It's very important. The only way that you can have complete knowledge and understanding and appreciation of a thing is that you know the good and the bad, the do's and the don'ts. The good and the bad and the do's and the don'ts. If you want to please somebody, it's not enough just to learn what that person likes, but you must also know what they dislike. Okay? If you are, let's say, a special cook or a chef for a celebrity or for a king or a ruler, whatever the case may be, you travel with this person, you're on tour with him. You have to know what he likes in his food, what to prepare for them, but you also have to know the things they do not like. Because there are some times in which you may not have all of the necessary supplies and ingredients. And you can put things together, but you know, Fulan does not like black pepper on his food. Fulan doesn't like spicy food. He's allergic to seafood. He doesn't eat this. He doesn't like this, so on and so forth. You must know the thing that's going to spoil it. You can't just know the things that's good and enjoyable, but you must know the things that will ruin that relationship. Okay? It's very, very important and crucial. And as we said, it starts off with tawheed all the way on down. You must know the obligatory acts of the prayer, and you must know the things which will spoil your prayer, the things which will ruin your prayer. If you do, your prayer will be null and void. Very important. So the author, he says, nawaqid al-wudu. He says things which nullify one's wudu. He says, ينتقض الوضوء بما خرج أو مما خرج من الفرجين من عين أو ريح. First and foremost, anything that comes out of the 2 sexual organs, or he says, the author says here, min al-farjaini. In other words, a man or a woman's sexual organ, and also their anus. Anything that comes out of a man's penis, anything that comes out of a woman's vagina, and anything that comes out of the anus of ayn, of matter, whether it's urine, whether it's blood, whether it's stool, whether it is semen, whatever the case may be, anything that comes out of a person's sexual organ, or a person's his other exit, whether it's ayn, a substance, he says, rih, or wind. So if a person passes wind, a little or a lot, whatever the case may be, loud or silent, whatever it is, it breaks the wudu, according to the author. Alright, so the author, he says, anything that comes out of one's private area, alright, or one's anus, that is ayn, that is a substance, that is matter, it's something, if it's water, whatever that thing may be, it breaks the wudu. Or rih. Alright? We don't want to get into no difference of opinion and no other views. This is what the author mentioned. He then says, number 2, وَبِمَا يُوجِبُ الْغُسْلِ. He says, in anything that necessitates a bath or necessitates a ghusl. And that is more specific than that which was mentioned in general. Because if a woman has her menses, then her purity is broken. She doesn't have to make ghusl until she stops mensing, but her wudu is broken for sure. And menstrual blood is ayn, it's a substance, it's a matter. Or ghusl. If a man has ejaculation, a woman has ejaculation, whatever the case may be, then their wudu is broken, and they must make wudu, they must make ghusl, and also it is considered to be an ayn. Alright, that's a substance, that's a matter. Khair, inshallah. Number 3, he says, وَنَوْمِ الْمُضْطَجِعِ. He says, and when a person sleeps lying, when you lie down and you sleep, your wudu is broken. We understand from this is that if you fall asleep sitting down, your wudu isn't broken, according to the author. If you fall asleep standing up, walking, then your wudu is still good. And the only time your wudu is broken if you are lying down. The author, he says, moving on to number 4, وأكل لحم الإبل, and eating the flesh of camels, eating camel's meat. He didn't say the fat. He didn't say drinking its milk. He didn't say eating a bowl of, or drinking a bowl of soup or broth. But he said lahm. He says the flesh, the meat of camel breaks wudu. Whether it's raw, whether it is cooked, your wudu is broken, according to the author. He then says number 5, wal-qay wa nahwihi. He says, and vomit, and things that are similar to vomit. Alright, if a person had a great deal of sputum or whatever, mucus, phlegm, that came deep from his throat and his chest and he spit it out. Alright, or let's say for example a nosebleed. Alright, according to some of the people of knowledge, these are things which are considered to be similar to vomit. And we said once before, and we'll say it again, this is according to the author, not all of the ulama. The author, he says, last but not least, he says, وَمَسِّ الذَّكَرُ. He says, and a man touching his penis breaks the wudu. The author did not say massul farj, touching the private area. He didn't say massul farjain, the two private areas. Okay, he says al-dhakar. So according to the author, and this is very important because it's difference of opinion, long difference of opinion among the ulama, he says for a man to touch his penis. In other words, if a woman, if she touched her private area, according to the author, her wudu is not broken. Alright? If a woman changed the baby's diaper, baby's pamper, touched the baby's private area, or the baby's behind, her wudu is not broken. Alright? If a man touched himself, but he had on clothes, he still had on his underwear and his pants, it would not be necessarily considered to be broken his wudu. Because when the term mess is mentioned, in most cases, it's direct touch of skin. However, one could say, he says mess, touching. And if you grab somebody, or if you touch somebody, even if they had on clothes, linguistically and customarily, that is called touching someone. Alright? So therefore, this is the author's opinion. And we're going to say it one more time, is that a student of knowledge should take small, simple, basic, clear steps. Piece by piece, step by step, build, develop, and mature. Then you will move on to the next level of your studies. Then you move on to the difference of opinion. Then you move on to the different proofs and evidences, so on and so forth. So if a person has a question, or if wanting to know the correct thing to do, or you want to know a person's opinion on something, someone who has knowledge, that's one thing. But when we're in a classroom, when we're teaching, when it's actual book being studied and taught, then what we try to do is empty our cup. We try to have the cup empty. And this is an explanation of the speech of the author. If it's a different book that we're studying on a different level, a different way, a hadith, that's a different story. But when we're taking basic beginner's fiqh like this, we want to make sure that we understand the speech of the author. Khayran, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The next chapter, or the next subchapter, the author, he says, Al-Bab al-Khamis, Bab al-Ghusl. The chapter of the ghusl. How to make ghusl. What to do and what not to do with regards to a ghusl. He says, يجب بخروج المني بشهوة ولو بتفكر وبالتقاء الختانين وبانقطاع الحيض وبالنفاس وبالاحتلام مع وجود بلل وبالموت وبالإسلام. He mentions the following things under the heading of mud or mata yajib al-ghusl. Things that necessitate ghusl. Things that if they happen to you or occur, then you must wash your body. He didn't get into the sifatul ghusl yet, the way to perform ghusl. The mustahabbatul ghusl, recommended acts, and that he's talking about mujibat, mata yajib al-ghusl, things that necessitate for you to perform a ghusl. Number 1, he says, يجب بخروج المني بشهوة ولو بتفكر, is when a person has ejaculation. When semen leaves the body bishahwa, based off of lust, then a person must make ghusl. He says, وَلَوْ بِتَفَكُّرٍ, even if a person just thinks about it. In other words, it's not a necessity that you had to have touched something, touch someone, have someone touch you. La. If you thought about sexual intercourse, or thought about intimacy, whatever the case may be, and it caused you to have a man or woman, you would have to make a ghusl. So we understand that if this happens to a person based off of extreme fear, the ghusl is not mandatory. We'll stop here, bidhnillah, until our next lesson. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.